This is going to be everything you need to know before buying one of these trucks. I'm going to go and list out all the pros and cons of these vehicles, give a little history behind them, and, you know, kind of sprawl out some of the details that come along with the 4Runners and the pickups. It comes down to is between the pickups and the 4Runners is the body. And that's why I always call this a truck. And I will fight you on it. I will fight you on it. I will defend that till I die. Don't try me. To start it out, we're going to talk about the motors. For these second gen body style trucks and 4Runners, you had two different motor options. You had the 22RE, which is in mine, then you had the 3-liter V6, the 3VZ FE, if I'm not mistaken, is the name of it. So with the 22 series, you're going to have a single overhead cam 4-cylinder. It's 144 cubic inches, mates 115 for the 22RE at crank and 105 to the wheel. The 22Rs, I'm pretty sure, make less than that. I think it's going to be around 100 something wheel, or 100 something crank, and then around 90 something wheel. And yes, I'm aware that they have the 22R, which is just a carbureted version of these. That's the only two difference between the 22RE and the 22R, is just the mine's fuel injected and those are carbureted. For the 3.0 V6, I'm not exactly sure the power numbers on those. I think it's maybe 120 something. I'll throw it up on the screen if I find otherwise. And as for the transmission, you get the 5-speed that goes behind the 22RE is the W56, and then for the 3.0, the 5-speed that goes behind that is going to be your R150. I also forgot to mention that they had a 4-speed automatic that went behind the 3 liters and the 22REs. But back down to the body, it's going to be your second gen, so it's going to be your 90 to 95. 94, they changed the front clip to a single headlight assembly, so you no longer have this chrome bracket around the headlight. Instead of being the 7x6, but the whole inner part of this is going to be your headlight. It's not going to be a two different piece style, which in my personal opinion, I think that these look a lot better than those front clips, even though I do see a lot of people who do the front clip swaps onto the earlier model ones. It's a very popular thing that I've seen on specifically show trucks. Another difference for these RE motors is that from 89 to 91 or 92, you're going to have an 8 7/8 clutch if you have the W56 5-speed. And then from 93 to 95, which is going to be the last year for the 22RE, you'll have a 9 1/4 inch clutch. Make sure to know the exact year of it. That's the whole thing with these trucks, that the second gen body style, it's all very similar, but there are also throughout the years very minor changes that they go through. These are offered in a 2- and 4-wheel drive variation. Mine is the 4-wheel. They are the IFS front ends and then the solid axle rears. These trucks, they offered two different style rear ends. They had leaf springs and they had the coil springs, which mine happened to be the coil springs. And from everybody that I know that's had them, there's no really downside to the coil springs. I've never heard about them sagging like the leaf springs do, because apparently that was a very problematic thing with the leaf springs, is that the rear ends over time would start to sag, and then all these kits to help support the rear end. It's not as bad in the second gens as it is in the third gen 4Runners. Another fun fact is that some models of the 4Runners had sunroofs. They also had the option of a tire carrier that went onto the back tailgate. Back onto the topic of the motors. 3-liter V6 is a absolutely horrible engine. I've heard that there are a few people that haven't had any issues out of them, and the problem with those is the timing chains and the head gaskets. Head gaskets tend to blow. Now as for 22RE, there's no downsides to these motors. Besides the timing chain guides, they're made of plastic, and apparently they tend to break off. Mine haven't done it yet that I know of, but that's the only bad thing I've heard about the motors. On to the downsides. The first downside you're going to notice if you have one of these, specifically the 22REs or the 20R, 22R, whatever series motor you have, extremely slow. They don't make enough power to break anything, and they're too slow to get stuck. So speed's not really a factor when these things aren't. That's not their purpose at all. They're made to be a reliable family vehicle that has the capability of going off-road. And if you don't know already, that a lot of people go and do the solid axle swap for the front end, because if that's their main scene now, is off-road. That's all of these trucks have been known for, is their reliability and their extremely well-performance off-road. Another downside is, of course, space. Now for me, I'm 5'11", 6 foot, and so for me, the fact that I had to grow accustomed to where my knees sit, so I've grown to have to pull my knee out right here when I go and shift, because my knees would tend to hit the steering wheel and you couldn't fully let out on the clutch. As for the back seat, foot room's really, it's non-existent back here. Yeah, this is how it sits. My knees are almost back here. It's also because I have the seat back. But even though it may not look like it, this is still a very comfortable truck. Going down the road, just sitting here still, the back seats itself, even though you don't have the leg room that you might want or get in a full-size SUV, you still will grow accustomed to the comfortability of it. Another problem with these trucks is the frames rust out. I don't know what it is about the older Toyotas, but as you can see right here, mine has the rust spot. This is the only rust spot it's got right here. And it's gotten bigger ever since I started driving the truck, but I mean, hopefully soon I can fix that. But yeah, the frames and the bodies tend to rust out really well, unfortunately, but I don't think there's really anything you can do about that. I got mine and it had like tiny bits of surface rust here and there, but I took a cheap undercoat and sprayed it on there. When it comes to the overall performance of these, there's really nothing bad to say about these trucks. They're extremely reliable. I'm really glad for what I got this truck for. I got it for $2,700, and for it to be my first vehicle, I don't think that any vehicle that I own down the road is going to top this. Which is kind of unfortunate, because owning one of these, level expectations for reliability wise when it comes to other vehicles down the road, I don't think you're going to find anything that's going to be able to top this. I don't even think there's anything on the market today that you can get straight from the factory that has the reliability of one of these. That's pretty much all for the truck itself. And I decided to film this video in 4K 60 and send them at it, because yesterday I filmed in a 5K 30, and I did like it. It had really good quality, but the frames just weren't where I wanted them to be, so I just went down in the resolution and then came up with the frame rates. Hopefully that will help with the whole video. I'm gonna go ahead and say these are very ideal trucks. If you're looking to get one, I'd say you can get it. Now, see, find one for a good price that's still in a really decent condition. I got lucky with this one, and as I said before, paid a little under $3 grand for it, especially for it being a 4-wheel drive and the 22RE on a rebuilt motor. I basically stole this thing, because unfortunately you find them now and they'll be rotted out, have over 300,000 original miles. They'll still want $5-6 grand for this. That's really all I gotta say about this. I hope it helps on your hunt if you're on the hunt looking for one. That's really all the ups and downs of them.